Hey there, I'm Frenzy the Killbot, and welcome to Kerbal's space program. I'm trying something a little experimental for this. I'd kind of like to get into making some different types of videos. I don't want to say low effort, but maybe less structured than like a full LP with a thread and a plan and practice runs and all that stuff. Just kind of make some videos where I can just press record and then play. So we're going to give that a shot today with a nice moon mission. So Kerbal Space Program just dropped a big update. They changed updated the game engine and a whole bunch of stuff. So I picked it up recently. Picked it back up, I should say. And played around with it the other night. So I already have a ship built. This was from my first run back playing the game, and well, it needs a couple small improvements before we launch it. First off, it really should be Moonshot, as the moon is called the Mun. Moonshot 2. Alright, save that. And the other big improvement it needs is I forgot parachutes on my first run. So let's fix that. That is pretty important. And then I have some other updates I want to make to the ship, which I will fast forward through and probably talk about later. And there we go, the Moonshot 2. I think that's gonna work. So let's launch this sucker. Alright, so it's a beautiful morning for a launch. I guess I should note that in the stock game there is nothing but beautiful weather. They don't even have clouds. And this is the stock game. I'm using no mods. This is pure vanilla Kerbal Space Program. The new update kind of broke a lot of mods, and I haven't bothered trying to get any of them yet, although I'm sure a lot of them work. But that's neither here nor there. Let's launch this bad boy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Now, launches aren't really the thing I'm best at. They can be very tricky. I'm going to try and go with a pretty good gravity turn here. And this is why launches are tricky. You don't want to burn straight up or too vertical, because you end up spending a lot of your fuel fighting gravity. And that's just inefficient, and really, rocket science is all about efficiency. At the same time, you don't want to go too horizontal, at least at first, because the air is really dense down near the surface. So you kind of want to get like high enough so you can go fast enough, but sideways enough for efficiency. And that's really what a gravity turn is the optimization of those issues, I guess. At the same time as you're doing that optimization, you can't be going too fast, because then you start getting increased air resistance. And air resistance, or drag, is to the square of velocity. So you sort of have to control your speed at the same time as you're watching out for all the other stuff. I will say this is actually going pretty well. I'm at 20 kilometers with no visible aerodynamic effects or burning air all over the place, so this is actually going pretty good. I'm actually kind of glad I'm recording this. This might be like my best launches ever. Let's pump up the gas a little bit. Go to the map view for a second, take a look at how high we're getting. I'm aiming for an apoapsis of between 80 and 100 kilometers. Apoapsis being the, oh dear, the highest point in your orbit. And space starts at 70 kilometers. So yeah, 80 to 100 is pretty good. Alright, 97. Good place to start. Yeah, that was actually a pretty decent launch. I got very little aerodynamic heating, although our fairing's a little hot. I got quite a lot of fuel left. This is that is fantastic. Anyway, once we get above 70 kilometers, the music is going to start, and we will be officially in space. And then I can ditch this fairing and start worrying about actually getting in orbit. Right now we're still on a suborbital trajectory. Very nice. Okay, back to the map view. This is really what the map view is good for, is planning maneuvers. You can mess around with this little thing and plan out what you want to do. It'll show you what the expected trajectory is. So we're just going to try and circularize this, get a nice circular orbit. Oops. 97, 96, that's 96, 97, that's... I think I might be able to tweak it. Oh, I screwed up. Yeah, that's almost perfect. Let's go with that. That is a pretty awesome view. Anyway, 24 seconds till our burn. We get an estimated burn time down here. This will tell you all your stuff about your maneuver. It says about 9 seconds. I find those are kind of not entirely accurate all the time, but they're pretty good guesses. So let's do this thing. That is fantastic. How'd we do? 97.4, 96.6, so off by a little bit, but that's pretty good. So now we're in orbit, a stable orbit, which means this thing is never coming down. And the game we could stay up here indefinitely. You can also take a look from inside the crew capsule, although he doesn't have a very good view. Let's see if we can maybe turn this thing. There we go. That's the stuff right there. What is the point of going in space if you can't get a view like this? Okay. Now, as I said, we are going to the moon, the Mun, which is right there. I'm going to set that as our target here. And before we go there, we got well, actually we got a few more steps. But the first step is the plane of our orbit is actually off to the plane of the moon's orbit by 0.2 degrees. And while, I mean, realistically, that's really not very much. 0.2 degrees over 11,000 kilometers, it really adds up. We could probably make that work without adjusting the orbit, but let's play it safe and fix this. See if I can get it to work. There we go. See it moving around as we adjust. Oh. There we go, 0. So, same thing as last time. We want to maneuver so we're pointing the right direction. That's this nice blue indicator here. And it's 10 minutes until that burn. So as soon as I get facing the right direction, I'm just gonna warp time. Just wonder, do we still have a good view here? Not really. Alright, so the game actually has a way of doing this on purpose. Warp to next maneuver. And this will actually fast forward time as fast as it can until a minute to your maneuver. And that is just really, really nice. Playing around with the time warp can be, well, it can be risky. It's pretty easy to screw up and accidentally miss. Fortunately, this maneuver is going to take place on the dark side of the planet. We're going to be in the shadow, so we're not going to be able to see very much. That's a little disappointing. Still some really nice views, though. Alright, here we go. 8.4 meters per second is essentially nothing. Spaceflight is always measures sort of maneuvers like that in meters per second, and that's actually delta V, they call it. That's your change in velocity. That's actually kind of a cool way of measuring that sort of thing, I guess, because it's independent on how big or how heavy the ship is or how powerful your engines are. It's just your ability to change your speed. It's very cool. Swing around here so we can see. I got one more thing I'm going to do here. We saved a lot more fuel than I was expecting, actually, so I'm going to recapture some of that. Oops. Good. I want to get rid of you. Let's try that again. I don't think we need all that fuel up there in the lander, but we might as well take it, since otherwise it's going to be pretty much wasted. Now, what I'm about to do here is... Oh, that's the wrong direction. Oops. We're going to separate our lower stage, the first stage of our rocket. We don't need it anymore. We're not taking it with us to the moon. Now the problem is, since we're in a stable orbit, once we disconnect here, or here, this lower stage will stay in orbit, and it'll stay there forever as space junk. That is a problem in real life. You can look up Kepler syndrome, whole thing about creating space junk and just this cloud of debris. Yeah, in real life stuff does eventually deorbit, it just takes a really long time. Microgravity and, stray shit will eventually cause things to deorbit, but it happens very, very slowly. So one of the things I like doing in this game to avoid that is actually designing my stages to deorbit themselves. So one of the things I added were these little engines here on the side of the first stage. And what's going to happen is I'm going to fire those off right before I separate. And they're actually going to push the rocket backwards to slow it down enough that it falls into the atmosphere and burns up. So let's do that right now. And there we go. Good stuff. This is nothing if not a green space program, and that's not a racial comment on Kerbans. Okay. Well, let's get this lander thing going. We got some solar panels in our antennas. Extend those. And now we are ready for action. So this is our lander. You couldn't really get a good view of it before. It's got a bunch of science equipment on it, antennas, solar panels. You may notice that this is it. We have no more intermediate stages. This actually has all the fuel we need to get to the moon and back. Hopefully. Probably not the best design, but it'll work. Well, let's plan our maneuver. We want to get out to the moon, so the easiest way of really doing that is just planning a maneuver that gets us out to about the right altitude for the moon, and then moving around until we hit it. So there we go, probably right about there, and then we can just adjust our speed. Ooh, wow, that's pretty good actually. Maybe we want to slow that down a little bit. That was getting a little bit close. The altitude on the moon is kind of weird because it's measured from, sea level on the moon, which doesn't really mean anything. So it can be hard to predict if you might accidentally hit a mountain or something. But 10 kilometers is probably a pretty safe bet. Let's go with that. Anyway, we're going to do the same thing as our last couple maneuvers. Get ourselves pointed in the right direction and then time warp until it's actually time to burn. Alright, now one of the problems here, you can see down in the bottom, my estimated burn is at 31 minutes. That is completely wrong. That is using the numbers from those little engines to separate the stage, or to deorbit the first stage. So we don't have a good estimate. There's a couple ways we can fix that. We can, make our own estimate, or we can quickly burn the engines at maximum and let it update. So let's do that. Oh. Crap. Oh, there we go, that works out. Just by happy accident, this is going to turn out half decently. It's too bad this is taking place on the dark side of the planet. You can't really see anything. Okay, not bad, not bad. Ooh. That might be a problem. We're apparently getting close enough to the moon that it's not giving us an altitude. So that's a little risky. We might have to fix that. I don't know if we want to speed up or slow down. Looking like it might be slow down. Yeah, there we go. So we'll just play around with the sliders a little bit until we get what we want. This is not working out very well. Oh well. One of the really fun things about Kerbal Space Program is just trying to get your missions to work even when problems crop up. So this transfer isn't going, ideally, but I'm gonna make it work. And there we go. I guess we'll have to see as we get closer how well this is gonna go. Till then, we're gonna just fly our way to the moon. Although one of the things I find fascinating about spaceflight is that it's not flight. You're never actually flying anywhere. Everything about spaceflight is about falling. You are just constantly falling. So, in orbit, we're orbiting Kerbin right now. And orbiting is really just constantly falling towards the planet, but you're going so fast sideways that you never quite hit it. Right now, we're falling towards Kerbin. Well, actually, right now we're going away from Kerbin. We're rising. But once we hit the peak of our trajectory, we're going to start falling again. Except that we're going to get so close to the moon that we're going to start falling towards it instead. And that is really what spaceflight is all about. The other thing to really know about spaceflight is that it takes a really long time. I don't know if people always appreciate just how long it takes, but we are warping time here at 100 times, and that moon is just sort of slowly inching its way towards us. Even at 1,000 times, it's, it seems to be moving pretty slow, and it is. Anyway, we just hit the point where we're going to stop falling towards the planet and start falling towards the moon. So it might be a good time to take another look at that maneuver and see how we're doing. 17 kilometers isn't bad. Now we want to make sure we land on the sunny side of the moon because I didn't bring any lights. And actually I'm sort of thinking of landing right around here. Right on the edge of that big crater. So let's plan a maneuver to start heading down. Maybe a little more than that. Maybe a little less than that. We just want to make sure we don't get too close to the surface and, hit a mountain. Something like that might be okay. Unfortunately, we're going to be on the wrong side of the moon. We're not going to be able to see Kerbin from our landing site. And that's kind of too bad. In real life, it means our antennas wouldn't work either. We wouldn't be able to contact the planet. Although it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that in the game. Your antennas will always work. Unless you have a mod that requires line of sight for communication, and there is a mod for that. One of the cool things you can say about this game is that there's pretty much mods for everything. If you want to make the game easier, if you want to make the game harder, you can do that. It's very cool. Okay, burned over a little bit there, so we might come down a little further than I'd like. But that's okay. I'm sure it'll be fine. And that sharp angle with the sun really shows the contrast, shows the depth of all these craters. That's very cool. Just so we know, we're going to set a little waypoint. Let's go about there. I'm going to set that up just so we know what direction to be looking in. And we're going to speed things up. Watch Kerbin set on the moon as we get closer and closer to landing. Okay, right about now I should probably start worrying about my landing site. If we zoom way, way, way out. I'm thinking right around here, I think is my plan. See, there's the rim of that big crater. So maybe right in there, as close as we get to that. You gotta love just the scale involved. Just how big everything is out in space. Maybe we'll land in that little crater there. That seems like a good spot. I think that's that crater right there. Kind of want to try landing right there on the edge of it. Ooh, hello. So the way we're going to do this is, we're going to burn completely sideways so that we stop moving sideways at all and start falling straight down. That's really how we're going to make this landing work. Hopefully. Although I'm falling a little bit fast here for my liking. Yep, that was, that got a little panicked. That wasn't so good. Okay. I think we pretty much recovered from that. Can start falling down here, although I might need to make a small correction. We're kind of falling back into the crater there. There we go. Probably put down the landing gear, that would be smart. And then we want to start slowing ourselves down so we don't hit the ground super hard. Generally, 5 meters per second is a good rule of thumb. You want to hit the ground going less than that. Ooh. Well, that was not a perfect landing. But we are down. We didn't explode. Now we just have to stop sliding. Down the edge of this crater, we hit a little bit too close. Okay, that was just like a little minute-long toboggan ride down the slope there. So here we are landed on the moon. Now, like most spaceflight, the point of going anywhere is, well, not just exploration, but also science. So we have a bunch of science experiments on this guy that we can run, and it'll give us some little text blurbs. Often they're funny, sometimes they're not. Now, in the main game, science points that you get for running science experiments, you can then use to unlock new tech, new parts to build better or bigger rockets. In this, I'm playing sandbox mode, so I actually have access to everything, and we're not getting any science points for these experiments. I'm pretty much just running them because, I don't know, science rules. But we definitely did not come this far to stay in the capsule. So there we go, we are out in space. Let's just take a little report. Stick that back inside. And here we go, ready? Oof. There we go, we are officially on the moon. Look at that low gravity. And dig up some dirt to take home. So that's basically all the experiments that I can run here. See if I can make a running jump back into the capsule. Oh, not quite. Almost. Instead, we're gonna have to use our nice thruster pack. I didn't actually put a ladder on this thing. There's really no point when the gravity's this low. Anyway, one of the things you might have noticed in my design is it's symmetrical. Symmetry is very important in design, and especially when you're talking about spacecraft. For balance, you want your center of mass to be straight down the center. But we have this whole second set of experiments here. So we need to go somewhere else to run those. So I'm thinking we should go right there in the middle of that big crater. Or that little crater inside the big crater. So that's what, northeast? I think I can make that work. Ready? Now, you don't need to go up very high to make this work. You don't need to use that much fuel at all to do a little jump. This is one of the best ways of running science experiments in the game, is to do multiples in each mission, is to just hop around on low gravity planets. Both of Kerbin's moons have very low gravity and they let you do this. Just spend a little fuel jumping. You do have to be careful though. I mean, it looks like we're going very slow, but we're going 65 meters per second. If we run into anything going this speed, good old Jeb down here, who's having a great time, I might add, he's not coming home. So we gotta be careful. Burn a little bit, just to avoid hitting the ground. We also don't want to waste too much fuel here, because we kind of need it to get home. Alright, this is looking good. Once we get over the lip of this crater, just sort of let ourselves drift towards the middle. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh, nice. Maybe give ourselves a little bit more lift. Start slowing ourselves down. Same thing as last time, we really want to slow down our vertical velocity so we fall straight down. And we want to do this without... There we go. A little bit of that. And then just slow ourselves down here. Very nice. A little bit of a rough landing. Probably could have hit down a little bit softer, but here we are. We are inside a crater in a crater. I think there's it's that exhibit joke to be made there, but that meme is so old I honestly don't even remember how it goes. Anyway, let's do our science experiments again. They will sometimes have slightly different text, since we're in a different biome. Do a crew report here. And same thing, we're going to do our EVAs. Let's run over to the sunny side, get a nicer view of our lander. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. And the one thing we didn't do last time is we're going to plant a flag. We only get one flag, so I was really saving it for this time. So we're going to call this Crater in a Crater. And this, oh, wait. This one's for you, T-Bone. You know who you are. Yeah. How awesome is space? Look at that guy. Anyway. Now, normally you could bring all these science experiments home with you to get the science data. Or you can transmit them using your antenna, although you don't always get full value for doing it that way. But the other thing you can do is you can take it, physically remove it from the science experiment, and bring it back with you into the crew capsule. And for some of these experiments, this actually wrecks them. It means you can't run them again. They get permanently disabled until, well, actually you can still reset them with a scientist. But you know what I mean. We're actually going to be doing that here. And I'll talk about why in just a second once I collect all this science crap. Actually, I don't think I can... Oh yeah, I can. Sometimes the game gets kind of finicky over having more than one of the same experiment. So right now I'm carrying a whole bunch of experiments, but since they're from two different biomes, it seems to be okay. Yeah, let's get back in our pod here. There we go, saved all that stuff. I don't know if that UI is very good, but there you go. Alright, so here's the thing. Right now our lander has a ton of dead weight on it. These fuel tanks are all almost entirely empty, which means they're mostly dead weight. We don't really need all the engines, they're kind of dead weight. Don't need landing legs, don't need solar panels, don't need the science experiments. Oh, excuse me. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take all the fuel from the outer fuel tanks and transfer it all into the center. And then we're going to completely ditch everything on the outside of the center capsule. So all these other fuel tanks, all the science experiments, we're just going to ditch everything, throw it away. There we go. Once we do that, we're just going to lift off and head home. Yep, let's do it. We got to get up over this ridge. All that stuff I was talking about gravity turns doesn't really apply here on the moon. Most of that's optimizing for air resistance, and there isn't any in this case. So you pretty much just want to get high enough to avoid running into anything, and then burn straight, well, east or west, or whatever direction you want to hit orbit. In this case, we really want to be going west. There's a good reason for that. Going west lets us have a slower relative velocity to Kerbal, which makes it easier to return from there. Though I'm having a little bit of a hard time planning this maneuver. So let's see here. I want to get very, 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 very close. Closer than that. Closer than that. That's getting close. Oops. We want to hit about 45 kilometers. There we go. Now, the reason for that is we're going to do an aero brake around Kerbal. And that means we're going to use the air resistance to slow us down, and then capture in Kerbal's orbit's not the right word because we want to end up with a suborbital trajectory and actually hit the ground. But by using the air resistance, we don't actually have to use fuel, which is nice. The thing you have to worry about, though, is just like our launch. You can't go too fast, or else you're going to burn up. Now, our lander has a nice heat shield here on the front. You can't really see it in this lighting, but that will hopefully protect us from all the heat, from all that air resistance, that drag. And then these air brakes on the side should hopefully slow us down fast enough and help us capture. That is the plan. How do we do? 30. 30 is, that's a little bit too low. We probably come into the atmosphere too steep there and burn up. We have quite a bit of fuel, actually. We have more than we need, so I'm just gonna... Oops. I'm gonna burn too far. 65 is far too shallow. We're never gonna slow down enough at that rate. So let's spin around and do it all again. Make sure I'm pressing the right button this time. There we go. 45. The one thing we really have to worry about is the means by which I can maneuver this capsule in space, change what direction it's pointing in, is with reaction wheels that use electricity. But now I don't have my solar panels, so my electric charge here is a very finite resource, so I really got to be careful with that. I can't be spinning this thing around too much. But yeah, that is actually pretty much it. Actually, at this point, I can put out my... No, I can't put out my air brakes. But I'm going to have to put out my air brakes because I'm going to ditch these fuel tanks, which I'm hoping the air brakes aren't actually connected to. I think they're connected up here, so let's see. Yeah, nice. Okay, so now we have absolutely zero power. We're just gonna make the flight home. And I'm just gonna do what I've done before and just add a maneuver here. Not to actually burn, but just so we end up pointing in the right direction. And then we're going to turn that off so we stop using electricity. Which... Alright, whatever. I'll deal with that when we get closer. So in that case, let's just speed this up. Say goodbye to the moon. There's There's all our crap on the far side, including our flag, which I guess you'll never be able to see from Kerbal, because the moon is tidally locked in this game, just like the real moon. Oh well. Alright, we're getting pretty close here. Oh, what the heck? It looks like maybe that stage separation, ditching the fuel tank, was enough to bring our periapsis all the way down to 26,000. That's kind of dire, honestly. Okay, well, I was going to leave these air brakes closed for our initial entry, because they're probably just going to burn up and explode. But I think we might have to slow down early on. Actually, no, let's not do that. Okay, well, either way, this is going to be an interesting re-entry. I don't know if this is going to be a success or not. And I just realized it's happening on the dark side of the planet, which really kind of sucks. Because we're probably not going to be able to see anything here. Yeah, something's going on with this thing. It should be able to hold its position a lot better than it's doing. Oh well. Let's just do it. So you can see here we're actually slowing down pretty fast. While we're still losing altitude, we should actually be speeding up. So the fact that we're slowing down this much means we're really slowing down. But you can see, oh, those are exploding. Oh dear. Okay, I probably should have had them deployed because they just exploded without being used at all. And actually, I think we're going too fast. Our capsule might actually explode and kill Jeb. No, maybe not. It's easing off. You can see we're slowing down. We're coming in. I think this might actually work. All that has to do is get below 70. And there we go. We are definitely going to land. Whether or not we land safely, well, I guess we'll find out. We need to slow down enough that we can deploy the parachutes. And this really kind of sucks in the dark because I actually can't see the ground. So I can't tell if there's a mountain in our way or something. Well, there go the parachutes. Doubly unfortunate. We're not gonna get close enough to the horizon to see some sun, so this landing's gonna take place in the dark. And that really kind of sucks. At this point, we really just have to wait to land. We got nothing we can do except let the parachutes do their thing. And touchdown. So that's it. That was a successful mission. We can, oh dear. It did land upside down. But there we go. Jeb is home. He's less happy about being on Kerbin than he is about being on the moon. Yeah, that was good. We got lots of science. Let's, oh, I want to get you back in the capsule there, Jeb. Hey. There we go. We'll recover our vessel. And that's it. Mission success. It's too bad it doesn't show us the science, since we didn't gain any. Be interesting to know just how much that mission would have been worth. But anyway, I guess thanks for watching. See you next time.